Alright students, my name is Mrs. Conradi. We are going to work on your ancient Egypt art projects. So a little bit about Egypt is that everything is in profile. So you can see that you are sideways like this, so you're facing this way. As you can see from the slideshow, the Egyptians used frontalism, which is the face on side profile, and then the eyes are facing forward. The arms and feet are also in profile, and the shoulders and chest are facing forward. Egyptian artists like to show everything from what they thought would be the best possible point of view. Ancient Egyptian artists used what's called frontalism to draw these, so that everything would look the best it could be. I believe one of your teachers took your picture, so you should have your picture. I happen to have Mr. C's picture. So, when you go ahead and get ready to cut your piece, let me find some scissors so I can cut mine. Alright, so when you cut your piece, I suggest that you make a line with a pencil first, just so you know where to cut it. So when your hat sits on your head, for example, like this picture, when the hat sits on the head, you want to cut off part of your hair and go right to your ears. And your ears will kind of stick like around the hat. So I'm going to start at the ear. I'm going to go up this way. And it doesn't have to be like a dark line, just so you can see it. Then I'm going to go down this way from the ear, kind of like a diagonal line. And then you're going to cut out around the shoulders. So down by the ear, around the shoulders. You're also going to cut around the front of the face. So you don't have to outline it, but I'm just showing you where the front of the face would be. Hopefully you have the tip of your nose. When I took this picture, Mr. C, I kind of cut off the tip of his nose. So when you cut that, you will have left just your body and the profile of your face. You should not have the top of your head. I suggest to keep your ear, unless you want your hat to go over your ear, and then you're going to cut your ear off. I think it looks kind of cool to keep your ear so it does really look like your hat is sitting on your head. Alright, so it should look something like that. Then now I'm going to cut the front of his face. You want to go nice and slow because you don't want to cut off part of your face that you really want, so you look kind of weird. Alright, so it should look something like this when you get it done. I'm going to go ahead and cut off this white strip at the bottom so that way it doesn't show up on our piece because we don't really need it. Alright. So you should have something like that. I did have to leave a little bit of white for his nose. I might color it in later because I did cut it off when I took the picture. Okay, so instead of, we're going to use the butcher paper that looks like papyrus to do our piece on. So you have this big piece of butcher paper, and if I could show you how big it is, it's pretty wide. So we're going to use that as our piece. So let me move this. Alright, so when we glue down our face on our butcher paper, you want to do it somewhere in the middle and leave enough room for your hat. So because we cut off his body, I'm going to stick it down here so it doesn't look weird where it cut it off. I've had people stick it up here and then draw the rest of their body, which is perfectly fine. Actually, I think I'm going to do that because I want to kind of decorate his the rest of his shirt and stuff. I think that would be kind of fun. You don't want to set it too high to where you don't have enough room for your hat. So somewhere, you know, middle-ish would work. So I have a little bit of room for some body. Then I have some room for my hat. Okay, now you're going to glue this down. Okay, so when you glue that down, I suggest you go around the edge of your piece. And then I like to fill in the middle a little bit so it sticks as well. And then find where you want it. Your hat may stick back a little bit, so I'm gonna move mine forward just a little bit so I can have room for my hat. So what I mean by forward is it's closer to the front of my paper than it is the back of my paper, just because hats tend to go this way. Okay. Push it down, make sure all the pieces stay. You might have to check the edges, which means lifting up the edge and gluing down so that way we know it stays. Once you think it's good, put your lid on the glue, make sure that gets put away. Then you're ready for your hat. I always suggest you start with a pencil first because pencil can erase and what we're going to use to decorate it cannot be. So you can see that their hat starts like at their neck, goes out, comes up, and then comes back down to set on their head. So depending on how big you want it, excuse me, that's how you need to go. I would say you have to go to the bottom of his head at least, because it'll look weird if his head just cut off with no hat. So we're going to start here. I'm going to go up, I'm going to go around, and then I'm going to come back to make kind of a boxy place. You can see that there's a box. Okay, then you can start decorating it. I have this thing that Mrs. Anderson gave us that you can like decorate it in. Since my name is Miss Conradi, I might use C, but it says there's no C in the H of Egypt. You can use this for an S or use this for a K because that would be like con. Mine would be more of a K sound. So I might use this bird, or not bird, I guess it's a bull, right here. So I might use that in some of the decorations. If I was going to go to Mr. C, you could decorate it like that, or you can just do lines, or however you want it. A lot of the times Egypt does patterns, so I might do some patterns in here. I suggest you do like your ideas in pencil first. Then you can come up with how to decorate it. So once you figure out how to decorate it, then we're gonna get out the colored pencils. So I'm gonna decorate mine first, and then I'll come back and show you how to use the colors. Okay, for the decoration on the hat, I decided to do some zigzag lines, and then I'll do like traditional colors. Then I decided to do the K because there's no C, as you can see in here. There's no C, but Calkins kind of sounds like a K, so I went down here and started doing the signs for a K, and I did that on the bottom, then did it on the middle stripe here, and now I'll start to color. When you guys color, you have two separate things. We have these boxes that have construction paper crowns that work on paper. They actually show up on this type of paper. So if I wanted to color, let's say I'm going to color these ones with construction paper crowns, you can see that they show up really well. Okay, I also have oil pastels. Oil pastels can spread really easily and kind of make a mess, so you need to be really careful with them. Let's say I want to use some black to fill in some of my triangles. They're kind of like a crown. They're just going to be a lot more messy. They have a lot more oil in them. And the harder you push, the darker it's gonna get. You can use both. I do suggest you use the construction paper crowns first and then go in with your oil and use that second, just because when you start to color and you rub on this, it is gonna get everywhere and get on your fingers. So you wanna be super careful with that. That way we don't spread and make a mess. So once you're all colored, then I'll give you the next step. Okay, once you have your project hat decorated, then we need to work on the bottom. So let's move this down here so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, so you're gonna take your pencil and you're gonna follow your shoulders out. Don't worry about your shoulders being too big because your shoulder is as big as your head. So if you measure your head, that's how wide your shoulder will be. And kind of come down with the angle of the shoulder. So that's one side. And come down with the angle of the shoulder. So now you're gonna decorate all of this. So if you have some of this, I'm just gonna cover over it. If you feel like you need to kind of try to get it up and rip it off, like this glue is easily comes off. You can cut some of this off if you would like to. So I'm just gonna color over it, and you're gonna decorate your shawl or whatever you're wearing the same way you kind of decorated your hat. I'm gonna use the oil pastels and kind of go around on his jacket. I'm going to decorate his collar this way. So his collar comes around. Okay, and then you keep decorating like that. Until you fill up the bottom space as well. Okay, once you have colored the bottom, you should have the whole thing almost complete. If you want to add any signs to the side to say anything, write your name down the side or anything like that, you may. I suggest you taking I took the black oil pastel or a marker and going over some of this stuff. You can see I took a marker over my hat, I took a black oil pastel and going over the sides just to clean it up a bit. When you're all done with that, if you want to take a black marker or a black oil pastel and do the eyes, so if you can look at this one, you can see like they give them like the pharaoh eyes. You can do stuff like that. Any extras you want to add, this is now the time to add some extras. When you're done with your extras, make sure your name is on the back of your paper, and then you are done. Hope they turn out great.